Good morning, everybody, or whatever time you are viewing this. Today is Saturday, October 26th, 2019, and looking back, it's been about 3 months since I have last taken to the mic and the camera, and thought we'd maybe do a little bit of a coffee session this morning. I haven't been a big coffee drinker all my life, but maybe a couple of years ago I started doing it, and maybe it was hitting my mid-50s, realizing I might need a bit of a additional mental boost in the morning. So I do drink usually a couple of cups every day in the morning. Don't try to go overboard, but to the extent that helps. So I'm just starting it now. I have my Keurig in the back, and anyway, I thought we would chat, or I could spend some time this morning, as I've tried to do over the years, sharing some thoughts, perspectives for what it's worth, from the life of a trader and the life of someone who continues to deal with off track betting, off trading issues as well. So if you're listening, thank you. Have your own cup ready if you like, and let's just chat a little bit about maybe the market's continued lessons as we approach the season of thanks. And I'm probably not going to do another video, most likely won't, before Thanksgiving. I got a list of folks who have helped me over the years and continue to help me in some regard, many of them, and I'll get to that in a bit. So that'll be a bit of a theme from today. But I'm going to start with an interesting topic today, which is that of the recent decision on the part of a number of brokerage firms to eliminate commissions. Eliminate equity trading commissions. And as I was telling my team over the last couple of weeks, and I think I might have tweeted about this once, I've been off social media intentionally for a bit, focusing on our trading business. But I think that's a game changer. I think that's a game changer. If you recall, if you were following me back, well, when was the book done? 2011 or so. But even before that, when I've been a member of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange since 2004, and I bought a seat about 5 or 6 years ago, but I was leasing up until then. And I mentioned in the book, certainly, that it was really a game changer when my cost structure was able to be reduced, keeping everything else equal. And there's a chapter in the book devoted to this, that if I changed nothing other than go ahead and grab the CME membership, get reduced transaction costs, my P&L would automatically go up by a certain percentage, to the extent of whether I was trading well or not trading well, trading strategies were in line with the current markets or they weren't. All that being equal, the P&L goes up. And those of us that trade ETFs, index ETFs or stocks, and I certainly still do that, primarily for swing, intraday swing, excuse me, or multiple day swing. That cost structure has gone almost to zero. In the past, many of us were, those of us that had volume or were able to prove that volume, were able to negotiate with brokerage firms, certain brokerage firms anyway, that wanted our business to get toward the lower end of that commission range, which they might have had as a rack rate or even get below that. But there's no more need for that now. Everybody goes down to zero. Now I say almost down to zero because there still is an SEC fee, a nominal SEC fee, as you probably know, on sale of equities. So that gets passed through the customer. So that remains in play. But I was sharing with my team. I did some quick math. Looking back at a couple of months worth of equity trading, and I mean the savings it built up, especially for those of us who manage our risk with sizing. I got a bit of a frog in my throat this morning, so bear with me, please. Maybe another sip of coffee. And are scaling in and scaling out. So in the past, think of maybe buying the spiders, where you'd have, we're probably paying individually anywhere from, I don't know, $2 to $6, depending upon whether we were able to negotiate a brokerage rate. And you'd get a partial fill. Maybe you're trying to buy 1,000 spiders and you get maybe 50 fill. And then the market moves away from you if you had a limit order and you didn't go to market. And so, then you're having to and that might have been an entry or might have been an exit. Then you're having to go to enter the rest of that order, and you're ending up getting hit with 2 charges for that purchase, so or sale. So that goes away. You can essentially, of course, conceptually, buy or sell, 500 spiders, let's say, one at a time, and there's no difference in cost structure. There's no difference in cost structure, so there's no per ticket fee anymore. That's a game changer. That is a game changer. So any of you who trade equities, and you're looking at your P&L and you're doing some planning for the future in terms of your business strategy, your financial projections, you can now build up savings. And now, an interesting byproduct of that remains to be seen will be things like, I'll have to look at it this morning, maybe while we're doing this, futures commissions, right? Does this result in some sort of inflow into the equity trading markets, shift from the futures markets? And does that then affect futures commissions? Does that then affect the membership rates, the membership prices? I have an IOM seat on the Merck, paid about, I think, $45,000 for it, 6 years ago, and I think that's in the high 20s now. I have to go and look and see if that's where it's at. But is there some shift? Is there some pressure that may result in reduced demand there and in a shift toward equities for those of us that do it? Now clearly there are other issues at play, such as leverage and that sort of a thing. But as my team knows, one of the ways that I find it easier to deal with the algorithmic noise, for lack of a better term, in current markets is being able to at least supplement trading by the use of leveraged ETFs. And you get some pretty good leveraged ETFs, 2-3 times, and options. Now, options different puzzle piece because the cost structure of that really hasn't changed that much. But I certainly would encourage everybody to negotiate your options pricing. I know there are various firms out there. I'm not going to mention names that have different structures, but even given that, nobody should be paying one of those components in terms of fees. So please make sure that it's buyer beware and that you're doing your due diligence there. So, but whether it's options or ETFs or stocks, for me, it's certainly one way on a short-term trading basis to be able to, and it's just the way I'm wired, to negate, offset, minimize the extent of the noise, the impact of the noise on the futures markets. We're talking, I was talking with Damon the other day. You see, futures markets go, it can head in your direction, right? But it can take the little family circus route to get there, even over the course of a day. So, it's not uncommon these days, even on a day like yesterday, where we had a nice trend day up for most of the day that was triggered early in the morning, for the market to go, up 4 handles, down 3, up 6, down 4, up. That's just it's what it does, given the nature of all the participants right now. So, we have to ask ourselves, how can we align ourselves with that and not get knocked around by that and that kind of a thing. So, I do continue to use, I guess you'd have to go back to the Larry Connors and trading markets days, trading the Qs, trading the spiders, except now doing it with a little bit of leverage and doing options as well. So there's the first sip. So I thought I would start with that, It's interesting. Anything that it's sort of like getting a coupon in the mail, or a number of coupons for things that you already buy, right? Because if you already buy them, the cost goes down. It's not incenting you to do something and spend more money that you would not otherwise spend. So very, very cool aspect of that. So I'm going to start now. I'm going to evolve a little bit into again, we're entering the season of Thanksgiving, and just thanks to certainly everybody who's been a part of the Miller Day and Trading Network over the past year and a half now, we're coming up on. Whether you have come in and watched for a while, whether you have attended one of our open houses, whether you've been a part of our constant core team, which now has been in place for, again, going on 18 months. I thank all of you for the opportunity, the honor, and the privilege to trade alongside of you, to learn alongside of you, to continue to refine myself and hopefully refine the team as we do this collectively. It's nice for me knowing that I can enter every day, knowing that I've got a support structure, and in a peer group that I probably underestimated earlier in my trading career. So I'm very thankful for that. certainly thankful for Robin with all the great work that she's doing. The next session she'll be giving will be Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern for our team. Kim, Ben, all the folks that have been involved in terms of the infrastructure, the technical infrastructure, so I thank you for that. Damon Plavatos, right there on the list. Damon, I thank you for your continued friendship and support, the ability to talk both during the market times and outside of market hours where we might kick things around in terms of things that worked well, things that don't work well. You and I are of similar stature in terms of where we are in our life, age-wise, family-wise. We both have aging moms that we're dealing with. And so anyway, I appreciate that. And you'll continue to remain a valuable friend of mine, certainly going forward. And a broker, and my broker. Linda Ratchke, while we're talking about Damon, thank you again for everything that you've done for me, whether it was previewing my book, allowing me to preview yours, or again, the off-market chats that only you and I are aware of, or at least the content of which. Best wishes as you continue to get back a little bit into the social media and training sides of things. I know it's a difficult choice, in terms of how much time, energy, focus we can devote to our own trading versus outside stuff like that. So best of luck there. Pat Lafferty, again, my long-term broker. Larry Connors, going back in time. I mean, I could go on. Oh, and Vernon, certainly these days, because again, he has allowed us to incorporate his levels into our intraday planning, into our intraday trading, and I think what I'll do is I'll link a picture of some of the stuff that we were doing yesterday, in terms of just allowing us to not having to do that. And as I said before, there's many ways to set levels, and there's really no right way. Most of us do things similarly in terms of looking for, on a profile basis, low volume nodes, ledges, points of control, or whether it's major swing points, just looking at a price chart. There's so many ways to do this, and there's no one right answer. But the ability to be able to come in at the beginning of the day, basically, and have those set for us, and Damon, you do that as well in terms of the key pivots. That's just huge, and I think anything that we can do in this business, to the extent that we are executing our own trades, and that we are having to maintain a level of mental energy and mental sharpness and mental awareness and mental acumen, it's so important for us to be able to deload some of the tasks that we have at our end. So to the extent that we can do that, the pivot points, the line in the sand, initial line in the sand, have just been huge. I mean, it's been running, and if you don't follow Vernon, I've said this before, or Damon, I encourage you to follow them, because the pivots, the movement off of those pivots early in the day, I don't have the statistics to give you an actual percent, but it's ridiculously high. And you can look at the proven results on both of those parties, documented results that share that. And then it comes down to a matter of execution, of personal execution, faith, confidence in the plan, whatever plan you may have, and then an execution. So again, if we find ourselves challenged with having to multitask as the day starts, Linda, you've got a great spreadsheet worksheet that you work out at the beginning of the day. I think that is so key, and allows us as a trading community to just go do it. Just go do it. Faith, confidence in the background, and then focus on executions. So that's that. What else? My mom, personal basis, many of you know, many of you probably don't know, but some of you know, my mom experienced a stroke over the last couple of months, so we've been dealing with some issues there. Just a mental reset. She's 91. She's come through it okay, but we know that there will be more times like that to come, and certainly that is where the priorities of life hit. I know in the past that I've shared challenges with Chelsea, diagnosis diabetic at age 10, and other challenges over time. And I do that again, not to say woe is me sort of thing, but it's more to allow all of us, to remind all of us to recognize that, as entrepreneurs, as traders, as businessmen and women, we have to somehow integrate and dovetail those efforts that rank so much higher in priority with this sort of a thing. So I think that for me, the way that I try to look at it is that, as I mentioned toward the end of the Chronicles book, that it's about windows. It's about windows. And I've said things to the effect of when that window opens, whatever it may be, career, family, opportunity, that the ability to jump through it and maximize it to the extent that you can, jump through it with both feet, as I said, is important, because I think this is a business, and we're all involved in a life of chunks, meaning that there are going to be opportunities to do very, very, very well over a very short period of times where you can bank some things, whether it's time, assets, or something else. And so the ability to do that then affords us, if we can bank, let's say we can bank some assets, bank some trading gains, it affords us the time, the luxury to go focus on these other things without feeling compromised, without feeling that we're not focused on continuing to generate income, because it's a chunky business, it's a spurty business. And so that's why I've tried very hard, probably not as good as I can, to emphasize the fact of the concept of aggression. The concept of aggression, where it's not about greed, but it's about creating the outliers. It's about pushing the pedal to the metal. We did that a few times this week. This is it. This is it. Pound. I know there were at least 2 times this week where I told the team that, in my own trading perspective, I wanted to pound, but I couldn't get the pound on. I couldn't get the extra leverage on at the time, for whatever reason. But there were enough times where I was able to see it and get it on, and it just takes a few of those. It takes a few of those a week to really generate that income stream that allows us to then take a step back and focus in the larger picture. And that's a challenging concept, I know, for folks that might be coming from a corporate job or an hourly wage or an annual wage, that sort of a thing. And even I struggle with it from time to time. So that's one thought in the spirit of trying to create outliers and position for that. I think the last thing that maybe I'll leave you with, last thought that I'll leave you with, is the concept of bandwidth. It touches on what we just talked through a few minutes ago, but we all have limited bandwidth. I'm 58 now. I'm 58. I continue to love this business, but I also continue to recognize that I'm starting to get up there a bit. I'm not as agile, as mentally agile, aggressive, pick a adjective, as I used to. So much like an athlete, maybe a pitcher who, I don't want to say we've lost our fastball, because I do believe this is a mental sport, and we can continue to do this well into however many years God gives us the ability to think. But there's an adapting that has to happen. And I remember Pedro Martinez, when he was really having to shift from his fastball to his curve. I think there's a combination of things happening as we age, and that's that our body, our mind may change over time. Whether it might be influenced by non-trading factors, it may just be the simple result of aging. And also the markets continue to evolve. We are clearly in a mode where the vast majority of transactions are all done mechanically. Right? And the result of that is it's almost like atoms. It's almost like atoms in a chamber. I'm gonna screw this language up, right? But you think of nuclear reactions, right? You think of all this pent up energy, and you get a lot of this stuff going on, and you very rarely, you see this in some markets, but very rarely do you see that, okay, there's the nice breakout, there's the nice retracement, and you can sense the pit noise and all that kind of stuff. We have ways of getting at that in terms of using things like tick strike and teams and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have that. So you have a lot of this colliding, and it's very important for us to be able to minimize the noise, and I did a session on that, a public session on that recently, as well as continue to adapt to that. So how do we adapt to that? If we have been brought up trading on the dome and staring at the dome, it's going to be difficult, because in that example that I gave us earlier, where a 4 handles down 3, up 6, down 4, you're talking 4 handles is 16 ticks, and if you've got an uncollapsible dome, which because of the silly copyright issues in the past many do, it's difficult to get away from that. So what do? Trading from the charts is an option. Trading, again, ETFs or options or something that may not move as quickly, that's an option too. So we have to continue to adapt. So, and it comes down to bandwidth. it comes down to a bandwidth and energy level. So, what was it, John Wooden? We did a post years ago on the blog about John Wooden that I think it was him who said something to the effect of making sure that, or whatever we did outside of the sports hours, the training hours and the game hours, reflected that our ability to perform during the time in which we were doing so. Same thing in this life, I think, in this business, I think, where if we are positioning ourselves optimally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, outside of the market hours, then we will be able to perform and excel inside of the arena, if you will, over the course of the day. I know that for me, trading brings out the best in me, but it can also bring out the worst in me if I'm not careful. And I do need to course correct myself, and I've had others course correct me over time, and I thank God for that. I really do, because it's necessary. It's hard for us sometimes to be able to look inwardly, objectively, especially those of us that have found ourselves in the public sphere to some extent. So I'm certainly grateful and thankful for that, and hopefully it keeps us honest. So I'll leave you with again just a thank you for listening. Clearly, you found some reason to view these either now or over the years. We continue to trade amongst what I feel is an exceptionally strong team in the Miller Day and Trading Network. If you're interested in being a part, great. I'm really not actively promoting, marketing. I like where we are. I really like where we are, and I'm blessed and fortunate, and I want to continue to focus on team performance. So again, I'll post. I'll give you a link to the charting that we used and the levels that we were able to incorporate using yesterday as an example. Wish you certainly a safe fall season as we enter the official holiday season, if you will. God bless you all. Hope you were able to be happy and healthy. We've talked a lot in our room, thanks to Robin, about that. Be happy, be healthy. And we've gotten away a little bit, unfortunately, and I need to get back to the love, uplift, and inspire mantra, which is so important, especially to give back to those that have been able to help us in the past or continue to help us to some extent. So those are some thoughts on this Saturday, October 26th. I wish you a great weekend, wish you happy trading, and God bless. Thank you.